When I went through school, no real education about how to look after yourself, no idea what well-being was, self-care. I struggled quite a lot at uni, didn't know what to do about it, was too scared to talk about it. We've got to help people and give them the power to support themselves, not just kind of wait until things are really bad and go to an A&E or go to a mental health service, you know?
Like mine, Dr. Alex's mission is to help people feel better. Today, he is more passionate than ever about empowering others to look after their mental health. On our walk together, I want to find out how his own experiences have shaped him and put him on this path to helping so many people. I can see how purpose-driven you are. You want to help, young people feel good, physically and mentally. Where did that love and that energy come from to want to help people?
Now, I think really, it's about taking ownership, and I think a big passion I have, like you do as well, is giving people the tools, understanding, and the realisation that they can help their own health and their own happiness. I'd love to say that mental health was my interest when I was younger, but it really wasn't. I didn't even know what depression... If you asked me at 18 years old, what is depression, I wouldn't have known. I thought being sad. Well-being isn't that complex, but if you don't teach people how to do it, how are they going to know? In a way, dealing with your own mental health isn't just about looking after yourself, it's what impact that has on other people around you. So you're actually helping the people to live in a better environment, a happier family. People worried in the past, if we talk about mental health, will there be more suicides, will there be more depression, will there be more illness? There's literally no evidence for that. It's quite the opposite. If you get talking about feelings, we call it emotional literacy, talk about feelings, thoughts, how to look after yourself in a positive way, things like resilience, and if you get that in early in the family, then it really helps. And I talk about this idea called the traffic light system. It's kind of like you're trying to take away these kind of stigmas and kind of barriers to kind of change.
Make it accessible,
it's a similar way, so that's what I try and do. I try and use accessible content. If you're there with, with a partner and you've got the kids around the table, say at dinner time, you go around and go, right, we're doing the traffic light. So I either feel green, amber or red. So green, feel great today, amber, not so good, red, terrible. And you just say a short sentence or so why you're feeling that way. And it's good for two things.
Yeah.
First of all, is if you say a green, why? Well, today we got outside, we went outside, been out, went for a great walk, outside, fresh air, feel good. So you're teaching them about the positive sides and how they're looking after themselves. And if you feel bad and go, God, do you know what, it's been awful today, Alex drove me mad on that walk that we did, you're breaking down barriers of parents and children because dad's talking about it.
Yeah.
And you're also showing it's all right to talk about it when you're struggling.
Education is the most important thing, and I think you're really good at using social media and those platforms to engage with young people, to share that message.
Less than half of Brits are happy to open up and talk. And the really, really sad thing is not to dwell on dark things, but men who take their own lives for suicide, the vast majority of them have never told anyone that they're struggling. You can have the best, shiniest service in the world, but if people won't talk about how they feel, they don't show vulnerability, they're not happy to cry, they don't know how to vocalise how they're struggling.
Release that emotion,
you're not going to be able to save these people and make these lives better. It's 2 years on Friday, actually, that Cleo passed away. So he's my little brother. He's 10 years and 4 days in age difference from me. So, I really was that kind of big brother figure to him. And yeah, it was out of nowhere. We had no idea that he was struggling that way. He was waiting for his A-level results to get a place at medical school, wanted to kind of do the same thing as me. And just literally 2 weeks, 3 weeks before his results, he took his life, and it just was the most awful time.
How did you process that, and how's it been since?
It's been tough. Grief doesn't get easier, you just learn to kind of handle it better, if that makes sense. It's never ever less sad that he's not here. You just learn to carry it more. And I think grief's an important thing that we should talk about more, because let's be honest, one thing we can all be certain of is that we're all going to pass away one day. And that's not necessarily a sad thing in terms of if you had a great enriched life and you've done all the things you want to achieve, but often we're very afraid of talking about how to kind of deal with those difficult moments and when things happen that you don't expect, when you lose someone when you don't expect to. How do you deal with that and how do you navigate that? Because it is hard, it's tough.
How can you give a teenager advice to actually come forward and say, I'm having suicidal thoughts, I'm really down?
Someone said this to me the other day and it really resonated with me, and it's so true, is that the things that you worry about in life, the things you're anxious about and you spend so much day, what about this, or got this next week, or what if I don't achieve this, or what if I don't do that? The things we worry about are not the things that are going to bite us in the backside. It's usually when we're not worrying, on a Tuesday afternoon, you get a phone call that changes your life. That's what happened to me. I was about to sit down for dinner with my friends. I got a phone call from my dad saying, Claire's dead. And it's not something I ever even imagined as a possibility. First bit of advice is to learn to manage worry, because the human brain, the reason the human brain is incredible is because it can It can think into the future. It can plan. It can worry about problems. It can go, do you know what? How am I going to deal with this issue? The problem is in the modern world, because we're not worrying about being, hunted. We're not worried about finding our next meal as much. For a lot of us, we're very privileged that we don't have to worry about those things. We're worrying about other things. Our brain is always finding something to fixate on. So learning to kind of manage worry is a very, very important skill. So practicing mindfulness, perspective, gratitude, which you talked about a little bit earlier, is very, very powerful. If you are someone that's really struggling, if you're feeling like worry's got too much or you feel very, very low, just know that people love you, your life is valuable, people do care, and you can get through those times. Often when you're in the dark pits of things and things are really tough, it's really hard to see the light and see that you can get out of this hole. You're out in the light and you look down and you think, oh, it's not so bad down there. When you're in it, really, really tough. So don't lose hope. I don't think there's anyone on this planet that doesn't go through something difficult in their lives. You never know when the worst can happen, so don't feel shame about struggling. For me, it was campaigning for change, campaigning towards early intervention, breaking down stigmas. There's someone that feels better because I did that.
Feels good,
Then that, for me, gets me through and that dissipates some of that anger and grief that's there, I wanted to make sure schools were providing support services for young people, so mental health support teams. I campaigned to get £80 million rolled into that to speed out this kind of support network across the country. But what I really want to see, and what I've been campaigning for the last 18 months and building that evidence for, is early support hubs. It just cannot be right that we're allowing people, we're waiting until someone gets really, really sick before we help them. And it's not that fault of these services. These people are working so hard. They're just not set up for it. It's not what they're set up to do. What I want to do is see early support hubs, which literally looks like a community-style building, incorporating exercise, movement, incorporating psychological support, careers advice, all the things that affect young people in one place. Well-being isn't necessarily complex. Humans need to sleep well, they need to eat a generally balanced diet, they need to move quite a bit, they need to have genuine human connection, they need to have purpose. And if you can generally tick most of those boxes or do a bit of those each day, then you're probably going to be all right.
Are you finding that young people in school at the moment, are they sleep deprived? Are they not getting enough sleep, and is that affecting their mental health?
Sleep is a superpower for your own health. Lack of sleep is shown to massively increase risk of strokes, heart disease, all mental illnesses, and certainly what we're seeing so much of, and it's a huge problem with the social media and screens, is that young people are not getting enough sleep and not quality sleep. We're supposed to wind down in the evening. If you think about the caveman, the sun's going down, you're supposed to go into the cave, you've got the fire on, everything's quieter, the light's lower, and the brain is literally designed to start unwinding and know it's time to sleep. We're not supposed to have our dopamine firing, light in our eyes and things like that, and kids are staying up till midnight, 1 in the morning on Xboxes or PlayStation games and on phones, and it's just affecting their sleep. When I'm out of exercise and I'm not moving, I feel so much worse. My mental health goes down, my stress levels go up, I eat worse, my confidence levels are worse. And on the flip side, when I get moving, even just getting outside, walking and stomping around, I feel so much better. My brain is so much clearer. And my routine in the morning, and one of the best ways I find to keep that discipline that you talk about, I get up in the morning, have a shower, I grab my coffee and I get outside for a good half an hour, 4-minute walk. So even if I'm not going somewhere, I'm working from home that day, I almost do the commute walk. I do a good walk outside, my brain clears my mind. Morning sunlight, when we talk about sleep, morning sunlight sets your circadian rhythm. So basically really great to get morning light. Isn't it? Routine for your sleep in the night time. And I just feel so much better for it.
You're a doctor and you're saying all the things I actually believe in. It's like
you're practicing all these things.
There's science now, it's not just like an opinion from a trainer, it's science to show this.
Self-awareness is the most important factor and it's the first step to change. It's always the first step. Without self-awareness, you can't change anything. And if we think about it in a national sense, the fact that everyone's becoming so aware of the problem means we're going to start trying to solve it.
I love your attitude, also I love your energy.
I'm an optimist. You are as well,
mate. Keep fighting and keep
fight the good fight.
How can we do it? Let's do it. You ready? Come on.
Oh, we missed it. High five. Right, let's do it.
3, dive in.
Yeah, don't go too deep.
2, 1.
Woo! Oh, it's fresh. Woo!
Yeah.
Fresh. It's freezing. Let's have a little swim. Oh.
It's lovely out here.
This isn't comfortable, but it's like when you do stuff that's out of your comfort zone, you feel amazing. When you get out, you'll feel good. Your skin's going to feel amazing.
You do.
And life's about challenges, right?
It's an important thing. You can only help other people when you're helping yourself first, I think.
Yeah.
So that's the same for you as well, mate.
The conversation and the topic is so important, mate. So thanks for spending time and coming up here to see
Well,
me.
thanks for sharing it. I think, well, like we've said, I think we're on a very similar mission, aren't we? We're trying to achieve, we're basically trying to make young people healthier and happier. I think that's got to be the goal, I think, especially after the pandemic. For me, I think that whole thing of like, if you try and achieve everything, or you try and do everything, you won't achieve anything.
Yeah.
Because you spread yourself too thin, you burn out. And being focused, look after yourself, say no as well as yes.
Yeah, mate, all
It's a
great
powerful
advice.
word. When I was younger, I used to be so afraid of failure. I'd be afraid of any situation where I could be embarrassed to show myself up. And my mum used to say to me, Alex, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because when you're uncomfortable and you go through things that are difficult, you come out the other side, you feel amazing for it.
What a great bit of advice.
It's my, I'm a
Super mum, that's a good bit of advice.
mum.
So I'll tell you one bit of advice my dad gave me. And he gave me some bad advice in my life, but he gave me one good bit of advice, and that was that he said to me when I was a teenager, I was moaning about something, like I felt like I was going to fail at something. And he said, Joe, if you're going to miss the bus, miss it running.
I love that. I love that.
It's stuck like a lightning bolt, stuck with me, yeah.
And speaking of running / racing, should we?
What, down the other end? Well, that's definitely seeking discomfort, because I like swimming, but that's a long way. Do you fancy it?
Race?
All right, down there, let's go.
The other end.
Breaststroke, yeah?
All the way. It's only like 5 miles. It's fine. Hey, we'll let you get a lift to the paddleboard.